We're talking about one of the fights that's happening this weekend, Sean Strickland fight and Du Plessis. Liam, tell me what your take is. What are your thoughts on it?
My thoughts is a head versus heart, Jack. It's a head versus heart. I would like Sean Strickland to win. I met Sean Strickland on a bus when I was working for the UFC back in the day. Sean Strickland was a purple belt, I believe. He had a full head of hair, handsome looking dude, and he was a sweetheart. He was really, really, really cool, and I could totally see where the personality that's been going so viral on social media came from, even in those early stages. No idea who Du Plessis is in terms of a person, but I do know from a technical perspective, which is what I always lean towards, that Du Plessis looks like he is the more technical, and I can go into that. But before I do, what do you think?
Okay, let's address the 5,000-pound gorilla in the room, which was the press conference. It's got everybody talking and went viral on social media. Here's my thought on it. Like, I don't think Du Plessis received enough, and I mean this in a really good way, actually criticism about it, because I feel like he actually did cross the line, in my opinion, when he started talking about Sean Strickland's childhood. For me, that just felt a little bit too far. At the moment, it looks like they've resolved it. They had that conversation, but let's be really honest. It seems like
it with a threat of a knife, yeah?
Yeah, he said, look, stop talking about it, or you may not. You're going to get got, basically, is what he said. It's not afraid of jail time. I don't know. For me, I don't like to see that stuff. I like a little bit of banter, but like for me, there's like lines, and I think a line was crossed. That said, I feel like the real question is like, well, they're going to fight, right? They're not just going to play chat. We're going to settle this in the octagon, right? So the question is like, how is it affecting Sean's headspace? I feel that when you look at Sean Strickland, very impressive guy, seems like a really nice, genuine guy. You know, he's not going to bullshit you. He's going to be super honest. To a fault. And Sean, for me, draws his strength from his experiences in his life. And I feel like the more you prod into that, I actually personally think that the better Sean Strickland you're going to get, because like he draws his strength and his energy from his past experiences. And actually drawing reference to it, I don't think it's going to frazzle him. I think it's going to make him more dedicated, more focused, more tenacious, and more aggressive than ever before. He showed when he fought Adesanya he can be composed and calculated, and because let's be honest, he did it against Israel Adesanya. It's not like he's just knocking out some chumps away. He did it against like one of the most technical strikers that we've ever had. So he's got the composure, he's got the will and the energy. I feel that when you look at the mental, that's why I actually think Sean Strickland's going to not only win, but I think he's going to surprise the world with it.
Well, I'm going to take the role of the contrarian in this one. I'm going to disagree a little bit. I think when you saw Sean Strickland and the Adesanya press conference, it was Sean Strickland on the offensive. He was ripping Adesanya about the dog and all of those other little odds and sods. We didn't necessarily see Sean Strickland with his back to the wall. I mean, he didn't threaten to stab Adesanya. He was just taking the piss.
That we know.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's the most off balance I've seen somebody who is known for his banter. And I think he's afraid. And I don't mean afraid in the sense of he's not going to show up to the fight or anything, but I think he knows that this is going to be one of the toughest tasks on paper that he's ever had to achieve. I think he's, I don't know exactly the betting lines at the moment. We could potentially look those up. But I do think that he should be the underdog. And I think that that's coming across in the way that, I mean, yeah, the childhood stuff is rough, bro.
It is rough,
like
right?
It's but it's not like Sean Strickland hasn't gone to places, to dark places. It's not like he's not been open about communicating about it, and it's not like he hasn't ripped other people for things that they really didn't want to be ripped about. So I do think that at this point in time there's a little bit of a bleed of the anxiety that we see, but fortunately Sean Strickland's always very open about anxiety and that sort of thing. An incredible fight, but I can't see Sean closing the gap, and I'd love to be wrong.
Well, we haven't got a genuine behind the desk, but what we do have is an iPhone. So according to Sky Bet, we've got Dricus Du Plessis is a 1-1 and Sean Strickland's 4-5. So they're giving Sean a mild favourite. That could just be that more people have been betting on Sean. He's a fan favourite. The thing about Sean Strickland though is that he wears his emotions on his sleeve.
Yeah.
So his like if you had like a Khabib, for example, and he started saying a pun would say, okay, well something strange is going on here, right? He's not like Sean's always wearing stuff on his sleeve.
Yeah.
So technically, I guess is the question how the fight. It used to be a purple belt. I'm guessing Sean Strickland's probably a few belt notches higher than that now.
Maybe, yeah. He'd be doing something wrong if he wasn't.
When I look at Du Plessis, I see a guy that is very, very well-rounded. I see a guy that's dynamic. He's athletic.
Yep.
The pathway to victory against Du Plessis versus Adesanya, I feel is very different.
Absolutely.
But I feel that Sean Strickland's ability to hone in on the fundamentals, that really, that just kind of 1-2 straight. He loved boxing. And actually, he's so good at defending the other stuff, with his footwork, his movement, his pressure, he can really let his boxing shine. I think people think it's a lot easier to take him down than you give him credit for. I'd appreciate Adesanya didn't do it. He's not known as a wrestler. I actually think his style, the way he approaches fights, is going to give him a very, very interesting... I mean, what we're actually seeing here is like a guy who's just amazing at the basics, whereas Du Plessis has got a little bit more, I don't know, je ne sais quoi, a little bit flair, a little bit flash. So I'd like to put my chips on the guy who's going to execute the basics perfectly on this one.
Again, I'm going to take the other side. I'm taking Du Plessis, and I'm thinking, actually, it's not even going to be that difficult to be controversial. I think if you look at Sean Strickland's incredible performance against Adesanya, what he did insanely well was he brought a game plan specifically for Adesanya. A couple of things that he did there that I thought were really nice was, first of all, he sauntered up to Adesanya. He wasn't sort of bouncing in and out all the time. He wasn't tense. He really closed the distance efficiently and kept his gas tank for the full 5 rounds. He countered Adesanya's looping shots with straight shots, which, like you say, is a fantastic fundamental. You know, you saw Alex Pereira get caught with that leaning back left hook after he threw his own. Was it the left or was it the right? I think it was the right, actually, that caught Alex Pereira. But Sean didn't get caught with any of those because as Israel opened up, he was straight through the middle, you know? Now, you can't walk somebody down and you can't just ping straight shots if there's a threat of the takedown. And I think that Sean felt incredibly confident that not just was Adesanya not going to shoot the takedown, but almost on a level of man-to-man, whoever shoots the takedown first
is a loser.
Is a loser, right? Now, Dricus has shown that he's so much more technical than that. And one thing that I think a lot of people don't really understand about that level of MMA is the ability to technically answer their opponents. So Dricus, in his post-fight interviews, actually explains what he prepared for the guy that he fought. And I think, you know, when you look at who's bringing the best game plan for their opponent, Dricus has fought guys like Robert Whittaker, like guys at the absolute top of the tree, the guy who would have been long-term champion if it wasn't for Adesanya, and he brought a game plan that dismantled him. On top of that, he's got the ability to take a shot like anybody, you know, like one of the best in the world. And if I had to make a prediction, I think that it would be a cross between ground and pound or some sort of submission threat, and I think that you'd be a fool not to try and wrestle Sean.
How do you beat Sean Strickland, though? I mean, it's like, I know Du Plessis, obviously, I mean, these guys are phenomenal, right? But how do you actually beat Sean Strickland? Because you're not going to train with him, because he will happily stand and throw. Given how emotionally charged this fight actually is between Du Plessis and Strickland, bro, he's not just going to pick his shots and dance around. He may do if he's been intelligent, but, dude, I think we are going to see, like, a war of titans colliding, and it is going to be pretty epic. So you have to take him down, and you got to appreciate that, like, but it's like, well, Du Plessis won't necessarily do a more grappling-centric game to win. I think he's cerebral enough to do what he thinks will win. Either his pathway has to be in the grappling. I don't really see a striking style that will unpick him. I feel like if you can outstrike, if you can defeat Adesanya's striking, I feel that striking's not I would necessarily favour.
Would you think that the wrestling threat, let's say Dricus doesn't even take down Sean Strickland.
Yeah.
He just level changes in a way that if Sean doesn't respect it, he would take it down.
He has to do that.
How much different is Sean's fundamentals in his boxing if he has to genuinely worry about the level change?
It's such a really astute point, actually, because he didn't have to really think up the level change with fought Adesanya. So I think in the first round, we have to expect to take down for Du Plessis, because if he's just showing it, he has to actually commit to it and show that this is a threat, you need to be aware of it. Diminishing his boxing ability to get him to think about more stuff, and that's got to be his way forward. So
I think we should put a pizza on it. That's the answer. That's the answer. The real winner is me.
The one, it's like, do you lose if you're like, I don't know. So okay, I'd bet a
great
pizza,
fight though, right?
A pizza. It's going to be a great fight. Yeah, it's going to be a phenomenal fight.